Ladies and gentlemen, friends and fellow seekers of truth, we are gathered here today to explore one of the most misunderstood and misinterpreted aspects of life, our work, our purpose, and the meaning behind the daily grind. Too often we hear people say, "I'm just looking for a job," or "I'm stuck in this work because I need the paycheck." But I'm here today to tell you something different, something revolutionary. What if I told you that the idea of looking for a job is the very thing holding you back from discovering your true purpose in life? What if I told you that God didn't design you to simply find a job and get lost in a life of mere survival? No, my friends, God has a bigger vision for you, a vision that transcends the mundane, that elevates you beyond the limitations of mere employment. Today, we are going to reframe the way we see work, ambition, and our personal journeys. This speech will shake the very foundation of how you view your daily labor and purpose, and after this, I promise you will never look at work the same way again. Let me start by painting a picture. The world tells you to go to school, get a degree, and land a job. We are taught to chase after titles, to climb ladders, and to measure our success by how high we can get within the structure of someone else's company or organization. We are taught to find a job as though our purpose and identity are wrapped up in a title and a paycheck. But here's the truth. This is not the life God has envisioned for you. Many of you have felt the weight of this mentality. You may have experienced the frustration of finding a job that simply doesn't bring you joy, doesn't make your heart sing. You may have found yourself stuck in a cycle of dissatisfaction, always searching for something more but never feeling fulfilled. I'm here to tell you, it's not about finding a job. It's about finding your calling. God didn't create you to be a cog in a machine. You are not meant to be lost in a dead sin position chasing a paycheck at the expense of your happiness. God's plan for your life is far greater than that. Now, hear me when I say this. You were not created just to work. You were created to serve. There's a big difference. When you look at the world around you, there are countless people who have achieved great success, but the ones who leave a lasting impact, who truly change the world, are not the ones who simply held a job. No, they're the ones who discovered their calling. A calling is different. A calling is something that stirs deep within you, something that lights a fire in your soul. A calling is not dependent on your job title or your paycheck. It is based on your passion, your gifts, and your willingness to serve others in a way that only you can. Think about it. Moses wasn't searching for a job when God called him to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. He was called to a higher purpose. Abraham wasn't seeking employment when God made a covenant with him and promised him descendants as numerous as the stars. The great leaders, thinkers, and creators of history were not pursuing jobs. They were following a divine calling that spoke to their hearts. But let's be real for a moment. This doesn't mean that the work you do today is meaningless. Far from it. It's about recognizing that your work can be an extension of your purpose. When you see your job through the lens of calling, you transform the way you approach it. When you go into your office, factory, studio, or whatever space you occupy, do you go in with a mindset of just punching the clock, or do you approach it with a heart full of purpose, knowing that you have something special to offer the world through your unique talents and abilities? It doesn't matter whether you're sweeping the floors, answering calls, or running a corporation. What matters is whether you are doing that work with purpose. Are you serving those around you in a way that uplifts them? Are you using your God-given gifts to make a difference even in the smallest of tasks? The shift from looking for a job to serving your purpose transforms everything. Suddenly, the work you do has meaning. You are no longer just a worker. You are a vessel for divine energy, creating something that matters, no matter how small it may seem. I know many of you are sitting here thinking, but what if I don't know what my calling is yet? What if I'm scared of leaving my job to pursue something bigger? I understand that fear. The unknown is always intimidating, but let me tell you something. God does not call you to be stagnant. God calls you to grow, to evolve, and to step into a greater version of yourself. If you have been feeling unsettled, dissatisfied, or unfulfilled in your work, that might just be a sign that God is preparing you for something greater. The discomfort you feel could be the stirring of a divine calling, pushing you to step out in faith and trust that there's more waiting for you. Don't let fear paralyze you. Fear will always be there, trying to keep you stuck in what's familiar. But trust in God's plan for your life. He's not going to leave you hanging. He's not going to call you out of your current situation without providing the way forward. When you trust in God and follow His guidance, you step into a place of peace and confidence. You might not see the entire path ahead, but you can trust that each step will lead you closer to fulfilling your purpose. Let's address another common misconception, the idea that pursuing your purpose will somehow leave you poor or without success. People often associate the word purpose with sacrifice, with the idea that you must give up comfort to truly live for something greater. But I'm here to tell you that your purpose is not a path of poverty. When you align your work with your calling, you tap into the flow of abundance that God has promised for you. Prosperity comes not just in the form of money, but in the form of fulfillment, joy, and peace that surpasses any material wealth. When you serve others through your work, you become a magnet for all the good that God has in store for you. Success doesn't have to be a struggle. It doesn't have to come at the cost of your happiness or peace of mind. When you step into your calling, everything aligns. Opportunities open up. The right people come into your life. The doors you've been knocking on for years will finally open wide, and you will walk through them with purpose and confidence. Here's the final truth I want to leave you with. Work is not just something we do to survive. Work is worship. Every task you take on, no matter how small, is an opportunity to serve God and honor Him. When you do your work with excellence, with love, and with integrity, you are worshiping the Creator. The work you do is a reflection of your heart, and it can be a beautiful offering to God. So next time you wake up in the morning, don't think of it as another day of work. Think of it as another day to live out your purpose. See your work as an opportunity to serve, to grow, and to give glory to God in everything you do. I challenge you today, friends, to stop looking for a job to fill the emptiness in your life. Stop letting the world tell you that your worth is tied to your paycheck or your title. Look inside yourself and find your calling. Pursue it with passion, with purpose, and with a confidence that God is guiding you every step of the way. Let today be the day that you shift your mindset. Let it be the day that you stop getting lost in the maze of jobs and titles and start living the life of purpose that God has always intended for you. This is your time. This is your moment. The work you were made to do. And remember, when you find your calling, when you step into the life God has designed for you, you will never look at work the same way again. The concept of looking for a job has become so ingrained in our society that many of us consider it the only path to success and fulfillment. From a young age, we are taught to follow a conventional route. Finish school, get a degree, and then secure a job. This model assumes that our value is tied to our employment status and that our happiness comes from securing a paycheck or holding a title. But what if I told you that this traditional approach is limiting? What if I told you that looking for a job is not the key to discovering your true purpose in life? When we focus solely on finding a job, we place ourselves in a mindset of limitation. We reduce our entire worth to a set of responsibilities and tasks dictated by someone else's vision. We become consumed by the idea of employment as the end goal rather than seeing work as a tool for expressing our unique gifts and serving a greater purpose. This mindset can leave us feeling stuck, unfulfilled, and disconnected from the deeper meaning that God has designed for us. The truth is, work isn't just about earning a paycheck. It's about fulfilling a calling. Your true purpose goes beyond the boundaries of a traditional job description. It's about discovering the gifts you've been given, the passions that ignite your soul, and the ways you can serve others in ways only you can. A job, as society defines it, may provide temporary financial security, but it cannot provide the deeper sense of meaning and fulfillment that comes from living your purpose. God has designed each of us with unique talents, interests, and abilities. When we start to shift our focus from merely finding a job to discovering our calling, we open ourselves up to a life filled with possibility. Rather than seeing work as a daily grind or a series of tasks to be endured, we can approach it with excitement and purpose, knowing that we are contributing to something bigger than ourselves. This shift in perspective allows us to see the potential in every situation, to recognize opportunities for growth, and to realize that even the smallest actions can have profound significance when done with intention and love. Moreover, when we focus on our calling rather than just finding employment, we free ourselves from the fear of inadequacy or failure that often accompanies job hunting. The anxiety of securing a job is replaced by the peace that comes from knowing we are on the path to something more meaningful. We begin to understand that we don't need to settle for any job simply because it provides a paycheck. We can choose to pursue work that aligns with our values, passions, and abilities, work that speaks to who we truly are. As we grow in our understanding of our true purpose, we may find that our work takes many forms throughout our lives. The job we hold today might not be the same job we hold tomorrow, but as long as we stay focused on our calling, we are always moving toward a more fulfilling and impactful life. And when our work aligns with our purpose, we not only feel more connected to it, but we also find joy in serving others, knowing that we are fulfilling the greater plan God has set before us. So, instead of simply looking for a job, ask yourself, what is my calling? What am I truly meant to do with my life? When we shift our focus from seeking employment to discovering our purpose, we free ourselves from the limitations of job titles and create a life that is rich with meaning, fulfillment, and divine purpose. In our society, we are frequently taught to chase titles, paychecks, and external markers of success as the ultimate indicators of achievement. From a young age, we are conditioned to equate our worth with the positions we hold, the degrees we earn, and the salaries we make. It seems that the pursuit of a title has become synonymous with success. Whether it's the title of manager, CEO, or director, we are led to believe that these labels are the culmination of a successful life. But what if I told you that true fulfillment doesn't lie in the titles you hold, but in the deeper calling that resonates within your heart? God's plan for each of us is not about collecting titles, climbing ladders, or accumulating wealth. His design for our lives is much greater than that. God calls us to find our purpose, our true calling, and live it out in a way that serves others and brings glory to Him. When we focus solely on titles and paychecks, we often miss the deeper, more fulfilling path that God has planned for us. Titles are fleeting. They can change with a promotion, a job change, or even a simple shift in the organization. But our purpose, the calling we were created to fulfill, remains constant. It is deeply rooted in who we are and our unique gifts and passions, and it carries the potential to impact the world around us in a way that transcends any title. You see, a title is something external. It's a label that others place on you, often based on your role in a company or the work you do. But a calling is something internal. It is a deep, personal understanding of your purpose in this life. An understanding that comes from knowing the gifts, talents, and passions that God has uniquely given you. When you discover your calling, it resonates within you in a way that a title never can. A title may get you recognition or admiration, but your calling will bring you fulfillment, meaning, and joy that cannot be found in any title. Too often, people are caught in the trap of chasing a job just to survive, to pay bills, or to meet societal expectations. It's easy to get swept up in the pursuit of external success, to think that if we just land the right job or earn the right paycheck, then everything will fall into place. But in doing so, we can lose sight of the deeper purpose that God has called us to fulfill. The danger is that we start to measure our lives based on external markers of success, rather than on the internal satisfaction that comes from living a life aligned with our purpose. Your purpose is not defined by a job title. It's defined by how you use your gifts and passions to make a difference in the lives of others. It's about using the talents God has given you to serve, to inspire, and to help others grow. When you focus on discovering your true calling, you stop worrying about the title you hold and start focusing on the impact you can make. Instead of seeing your work as a means to an end, you begin to see it as a way to live out your divine purpose, no matter what that work looks like. It's important to remember that a calling can take many forms. It doesn't always come with a high-paying job or a prestigious title. You may find your calling in the quiet service of others, in teaching, in creating, in leading, or even in simply being present with someone who needs support. The beauty of a calling is that it doesn't depend on how the world sees you. It depends on how you see yourself and how you answer God's call to make a difference with the gifts He's given you. The journey toward fulfilling your calling is often more about discovering who you truly are and embracing the way God has uniquely created you to serve the world. It's not about chasing titles or recognition. It's about being faithful to the purpose that has been placed in your heart. When you embrace your calling, you will find that the job title you once thought you needed becomes less important. You'll experience a deeper sense of joy, fulfillment, and peace, knowing that you are living out God's will for your life. So, I challenge you today to look beyond titles and paychecks. Ask yourself, what is my true calling? What gifts and passions has God given me to serve others? When you stop focusing on external validation and start focusing on your internal purpose, you will begin to live a life that is far richer and more meaningful than any title could ever provide. Your purpose is where your true value lies, and when you pursue that, everything else will fall into place. Too often, we approach work as a task to be completed, a means to an end, or even a necessity to survive. We think of it in terms of paychecks, deadlines, and goals to be achieved. While those elements are part of work, they don't capture the essence of what work can truly be. True fulfillment doesn't come from the job itself. It comes from understanding that work is an opportunity to serve others. When we see our work as an extension of our calling to serve, it transforms from a simple job into a powerful expression of purpose. At the heart of every meaningful job, whether it's in a boardroom, a classroom, or on the factory floor, is the chance to make a difference in someone else's life. Our work, regardless of the specific field or task, has the potential to serve others and meet their needs. This could be as simple as a friendly greeting to a customer, helping a colleague solve a problem, or even creating something that improves the lives of those around us. The work itself might seem mundane or repetitive at times, but when we reframe it as a chance to serve, it takes on a deeper meaning. When we start to view work as service, it shifts from being something we endure to something we embrace with joy. We no longer just show up to fulfill obligations or collect a paycheck. We show up because we understand that our work is contributing to a larger purpose. It's about making a positive impact on others, whether it's through the quality of service we provide, the kindness we show, or the value we bring to the world. Consider the person who works in customer service. If they view their job only as taking calls and answering questions, it can become a mundane task, draining their energy and enthusiasm. But if they see their work as an opportunity to help others, to resolve issues, and to make someone's day a little easier, their perspective changes. They are no longer just doing a job, they are offering a service that makes a difference in the lives of people. Even the smallest interactions become meaningful when viewed through the lens of service. This same principle applies no matter what your job is. Whether you're working as a teacher, a doctor, an artist, a mechanic, or a janitor, your work can serve a greater purpose. A teacher who inspires students isn't just delivering lessons, they are shaping the future and empowering young minds. A doctor who cares for patients isn't just performing medical procedures, they are healing and restoring lives. Every profession, every role has the potential to serve others, to impact lives in ways we may not always see directly, but can always trust are making a difference. When we begin to approach our work with the mindset of service, we stop thinking about it as a task we have to endure. Instead, we start to see it as an opportunity to make a difference, and this shift in perspective brings fulfillment. Fulfillment doesn't come from the external rewards or recognition. It comes from knowing that you are living in alignment with your calling, serving others with the gifts you've been given. This service mentality also has the power to transform the way we view others in the workplace. When we recognize that we all have unique roles to play in the larger picture, we begin to respect the value that each person brings. The person cleaning the office, the one answering the phones, the manager making decisions, they are all part of the same team, each contributing in their own way to the collective good. We learn to appreciate the importance of all roles, big or small, and this fosters a sense of unity and purpose within the workplace. Furthermore, when we embrace the idea that work is service, we begin to focus less on what we can get from our jobs and more on what we can give. We start to view our work as an offering, a way to bless others, to contribute to the greater good, and to live out our purpose. This mindset shifts us away from selfishness and toward a sense of community and interconnectedness. We begin to see that our work is not just about our personal success or financial gain. It's about how we can help others make their lives better and contribute to the world around us. Ultimately, work as service is about recognizing that our true fulfillment comes from the difference we make in the lives of others, no matter how big or small the task may seem. When we serve others through our work, we not only make a positive impact on them, but we also experience a sense of purpose and fulfillment that no job title or paycheck can provide. The joy of serving others is the greatest reward, and it is available to all of us, no matter what work we do. So the next time you step into your workday, remember that you are not just working for a paycheck, you are working to serve others, and in doing so, you are fulfilling your highest calling. You might be familiar with a paralyzing grip of doubt that sneaks in when you start to think about stepping into something new, something bigger than what you've known. It whispers things like, what if you're not good enough? Or what if you fail? These voices of fear and doubt are the natural response of our minds when we face uncertainty. But what if, instead of allowing fear to control your decisions, you used it as an opportunity to grow in trust and faith? What if you took a step forward despite the fear, knowing that God is right beside you, guiding your every move? Fear often arises because we feel unqualified or ill-prepared for what lies ahead. When you start to think about pursuing your calling, you might ask yourself, am I really capable of doing this? Do I have what it takes? It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that you need to have everything figured out before you take the first step. But here's the truth. God doesn't always reveal the full plan to us all at once. Sometimes He calls us to step out in faith, one step at a time, trusting that He will provide the wisdom, the strength, and the courage we need along the way. Similarly, the story of Peter stepping out of the boat to walk on water illustrates how trust in God can overcome fear. When Peter saw Jesus walking on the water, he was filled with both awe and fear, but Jesus called him to step out of the boat, to do something impossible. As long as Peter kept his eyes on Jesus and trusted His command, he was able to walk on the water. It was only when he took his eyes off Jesus and allowed fear to overwhelm him that he began to sink. Matthew 14:29-31. This story reminds us that our ability to overcome fear and doubt is rooted in keeping our eyes fixed on God and trusting in His power to carry us through. The fear you experience when stepping into your calling is not a sign that you should retreat. In fact, it is often a sign that you are on the verge of something great, something that will require you to grow in faith and trust. God does not call us to comfort zones. He calls us to stretch beyond what we think we are capable of. The more we trust in Him and step out in faith, the more we discover our own strength, resilience, and purpose. When fear rises, remember that it's not a reason to stop, it's an invitation to grow. Trusting in God's plan means acknowledging that He has equipped you for the work ahead, even if you don't feel ready. He knows the end from the beginning, and He is already preparing the way for you. Fear will try to keep you stuck in the familiar, but God's calling always leads you to something greater. It's important to understand that doubt doesn't mean you're not walking in faith. Doubt is simply a part of the journey. It's a natural response to the unknown. But true faith is not the absence of doubt. It's the willingness to take action despite it. When you trust in God's guidance, even in the midst of fear and doubt, you open yourself up to the growth that will come through following His plan. The more you step out in faith, the more you will see that the fear you once felt begins to fade in the light of God's provision and faithfulness. Remember, God never calls us to a task without providing the tools and strength we need to complete it. If He has placed a calling on your heart, trust that He will equip you every step of the way. It's not about your own strength, but about trusting in the strength of the one who has called you. Fear and doubt are temporary, but the fulfillment of your purpose, the joy and peace that comes from walking in God's plan, is eternal. So I encourage you today, don't let fear hold you back from stepping into the calling God has placed on your life. Even when doubt creeps in, remember that God is with you, guiding you and empowering you to move forward. Trust in His plan, and you will find that the path He leads you on is one of growth, confidence, and deep fulfillment. The fulfillment of your purpose begins when you step out in faith, trusting that God will carry you every step of the way. When we think about pursuing our calling, it's easy to get caught up in the misconception that doing so means living a life of sacrifice and struggle. Society often paints a picture of following your purpose as a path that requires giving up material success, wealth, or comfort. People may say things like, "You can't make money doing what you love," or "Success comes at the cost of passion." But this couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, when you align your work with your purpose, it unlocks not only fulfillment, but abundance. Abundance that goes far beyond financial gain. The idea that pursuing your calling means giving up prosperity is rooted in scarcity thinking. It assumes that there's a limited amount of success, happiness, or resources available, and that in order to have one, you must forfeit the other. But the truth is, God's plan for us is one of abundance. When we step into the calling He has placed on our hearts, we open ourselves to the abundant opportunities, resources, and blessings that flow from living in alignment with our purpose. Think of the many people in history who have pursued their calling and experienced abundance, not just in their bank accounts, but in their impact on the world. Whether it's an artist, a teacher, a business leader, or a humanitarian, when a person aligns their work with their true purpose, they tap into a flow of resources that supports their journey. This abundance doesn't just come in the form of money, it comes in the form of opportunities, connections, growth, and fulfillment. When you pursue your calling with passion and dedication, you naturally attract the right people, opportunities, and experiences that align with your mission. The doors that open for you aren't just about financial gain, they're about fulfilling your greater purpose. The more you embrace your calling, the more the world around you responds with opportunities to support, expand, and amplify your work. This is how abundance works when it's aligned with purpose. It's not just about accumulating wealth. It's about living a life that reflects your true gifts and serves others in meaningful ways. God has designed each of us with unique talents and passions, and when we align our work with these gifts, we tap into the fullness of who we are meant to be. This alignment brings fulfillment that far exceeds the fleeting satisfaction that financial success alone can provide. True abundance comes from doing what you were created to do and knowing that your work is contributing to something bigger than yourself. Abundance isn't just a material concept. It's a holistic experience that encompasses every area of life. It's the peace that comes from knowing you're living out your purpose. It's the joy that flows from seeing the positive impact of your work on others. It's the sense of fulfillment that comes from knowing you are contributing to the greater good. And yes, it also includes the financial rewards that come when you are fully aligned with your purpose. When you're working from a place of passion and authenticity, the resources you need, whether it's money, time, or support, are more likely to flow toward you. We've seen countless examples of individuals who have found financial success and fulfillment by aligning their work with their calling. Think about entrepreneurs who turn their passions into successful businesses, teachers who make an enormous difference in the lives of their students, or nonprofit leaders who build organizations that change lives. These individuals have unlocked abundance in many forms, not just in their personal wealth, but in the impact they've made on others, the relationships they've built, and the deep satisfaction they experience from knowing they are living in alignment with their true purpose. Living with purpose creates a mindset of abundance, which in turn allows us to see opportunities where others might see obstacles. When you're on the path to fulfilling your calling, challenges become stepping stones, not roadblocks. You begin to view every situation, every person you meet, and every challenge as an opportunity to learn, grow, and expand the impact of your work. This mindset shift is key to unlocking abundance in all areas of life. The financial rewards that come from pursuing your calling aren't meant to be seen as a sign of greed or selfishness. They are simply the natural result of doing work that is in alignment with your divine purpose. When you serve others and contribute value to the world, people recognize that value and are willing to exchange resources in return. Whether it's through paying for your services, purchasing your products, or investing in your vision, abundance flows when your work is aligned with your calling. Ultimately, pursuing your purpose doesn't mean sacrificing success or living in lack. In fact, it opens up the doors to a life that is rich in all the things that matter most: fulfillment, impact, joy, and yes, financial abundance. When you're living in alignment with your calling, you will find that you are not only fulfilling your divine purpose, but you are also being supported by the universe in ways that far exceed what you could have imagined. This is the power of purpose. It leads to abundance in every sense of the word, and when you embrace it fully, you discover that the possibilities are endless. Every day we wake up and go about our routines. Some tasks are exciting, while others can feel mundane or repetitive. Whether it's answering emails, attending meetings, managing schedules, or even cleaning and organizing, much of our daily work can sometimes seem disconnected from a higher purpose. But what if I told you that every task, no matter how small, has the potential to be an opportunity to serve God? What if every action you take could be seen as an offering of worship? This perspective, when embraced, can transform how we view our work and the impact we have through it. Work in its truest form is more than just a means to an end. It is a platform for honoring God. In the Bible, we are told in Colossians 3:23-24, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ. This simple but profound truth shifts our understanding of work. It reveals that no matter the task, when we do it with excellence and a heart of service, we are not just working for a paycheck, a boss, or for societal recognition. We are serving God directly. When we approach our work with this mindset, everything changes. Suddenly, the ordinary tasks we complete each day are transformed into opportunities to express our devotion, dedication, and love for God. Whether you're cooking a meal for your family, organizing your workspace, assisting a client, or leading a team, you are offering that work to God as a form of worship. When done with excellence, integrity, and a heart of service, these activities become an act of honoring Him. It's no longer about simply completing a task. It's about doing it as if you are doing it directly for God. Excellence in work doesn't mean perfection, but it means giving your best effort, focusing on the details, and doing it with a pure heart. When you give your best in every area of your work, you are declaring that God deserves nothing less than your highest effort. Excellence reflects the character of God in you. It showcases the gifts He has given you and brings glory to His name. And whether you're solving complex problems, serving customers, or cleaning a floor, performing your work with a heart of service is an offering to God. Every action, no matter how mundane, can be done in a way that honors Him. Think about it. When we approach work with a heart of service, we create an atmosphere of love, respect, and care. The way we treat others through our work becomes a reflection of the way God treats us. If we serve others with kindness, patience, and empathy, we are acting in accordance with God's love. Jesus Himself said, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. Matthew 25:40. This verse reminds us that even the smallest acts of service, when done with a right heart, are deeply significant in the eyes of God. When we serve others, we are serving Him. There is a profound beauty in this understanding of work as worship. It frees us from the notion that work is just a necessary burden, a means to earn money, or something to endure. Instead, we begin to see it as a sacred privilege, a way to glorify God in all we do. No task is too insignificant, no role too small to contribute to his purpose. Whether you're a business executive, a stay at home parent, a teacher, a doctor, a janitor, or a student, your work can be a form of work. God has uniquely placed each of us in positions where we can reflect His glory and use our gifts to serve His kingdom. Approaching work as worship also helps us keep the right perspective. There will be times when work feels overwhelming, frustrating, or exhausting. But when we remember that our work is an act of worship, it recenters us. Instead of focusing on how difficult or thankless a task might be, we focus on who we are ultimately serving. In those moments of struggle or fatigue, we can offer our work to God as an act of trust, saying, God, I am doing this for you. I may not see the end result, but I trust that you are using my efforts for your glory. When we see work as worship, it also reshapes how we approach success. In a world that often defines success by titles, salaries, or accolades, God defines success differently. True success, in His eyes, comes from faithfulness to the tasks He has given us, from serving others with love and excellence, and from bringing glory to His name through every action. When we perform our work in a way that honors Him, we are successful in His eyes, regardless of the outcome. So the next time you find yourself struggling with a task or when you feel like your work is going unnoticed, remember this. Every task is an opportunity to honor God. You don't need to be in a pulpit, a ministry, or on a stage to worship Him. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing, you can make your work an act of worship. When you do so, you'll find that your work becomes far more than just a means to an end. It becomes a sacred expression of your devotion to God, a way to glorify Him, and a channel through which His love and grace flow into the world. When we live with this mindset, every day becomes an opportunity to offer our best to God, and through that we can experience the deep fulfillment that comes from knowing our work has eternal significance. Your work is not just about the result, it is about the heart with which you do it. So work with excellence, serve with joy, and know that in everything you do, you are worshiping God and reflecting His glory